And coming up to our first big contract decision, they're not telling us yet. What is it gonna be? Is it another signing? Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we have episode 13 of our expansion franchise series with the Nashville Stars. In last episode, we were able to do a ton of stuff, like showcase our brand new stadium in Nashville next to Nissan Stadium in downtown Nashville, right on the water there, so we may see some splashdowns in the near future. We're also right on the precipice of free agency. Day one starts today. We showcase a little bit in the end of last episode, kind of who's who, what we're trying to do, so go ahead and look at that if you want a more in-depth. We'll go over it a little bit here and there, and then also we have a couple of salary arbitration guys we need to get through, and we have to tender a ton of contracts, so we're going to do that. We'll come back and touch base with you all, and then once we get an idea of where our money sits, we're going to go in and attack this free agency and see if we can get some guys that we're going to fill out our new stadium in that right field spot, and maybe even a center fielder to round out our lineup just a little bit more. But as we get into this free agency season, we have our top three priorities on screen right here. I kind of switched it up. Last episode, I went through and kind of said our team needs were going to be in outfield position, 3 outfielders. But honestly, looking at the big board, you can kind of see that there's not really anybody that kind of strikes my eye in those positions, right? I mean, we have Garcia, who's out of the overall range for us. Cassiano's kind of old. And then from there, I don't feel like any of the other guys are improving. Moving to the center field, a similar situation. 2 guys that are above the overall threshold, and then we drop off to like a Chas McCormick, which he may be a little bit of an improvement. He is a right-handed batter, which we'd want. He does have a 281 batting average with an 800 OPS, but again, he is regressing a little bit in the power category, and he's just not fast enough, I feel like, to man that outer field. He's faster than Robles, but I think Robles just plays better in the batter's box. And then looking at the left field, we could have gone for like an Ian Happ type player, but for him being 32 years old, I'm not really sure we want to kind of go down that road. I like Robles because he's younger. He's only 29. He has a couple quirks that I like to see as well. His stats from last season aren't the greatest in the world, so we might get him for a little bit of a discount. But I think if he can get back those 2024 numbers where he puts up a 800 plus OPS, he'll fit right in here, man. So I think Robles is a good position for us. Again, he's a 36 free agent, so he's probably not going to ask for as much as some of these other guys, and we can sign him for a longer-term deal and not worry about that. The more interesting pick, I feel like right now, is our priority number 2, Brady Singer, who's asking for $21 million a year or so. Pretty high asking price for him, but he has been an absolute dog. Last year, put down a sub-3 ERA, which is absolutely exceptional, his best of his career so far. So he is very, very, very good and making very good strides to improve. 17 quality starts, which is a very good metric as well. His whip below 1.2, which is great. He was a 3-WAR player last year, and he just looks to be very good. His FIP was 3.88, so a little bit higher than his regular ERA. But look, and then moving on to our third spot, I feel like we need a closer. We have the Weisiger. He has fallen off a little bit from last year. Last year in 2025, he was able to get the Reliever of the Year award. This past year, he wasn't even close. We're going to try to pick up a 2026 All-Star. He may hit the chopping block because we may not have enough money to sign him. But after a decent year last year, we put up 47 saves, went on with 9 blown. If he could have converted at least half of those, he would have been a 50-plus save player. So he's very good. So I'm really excited about these 3. I'm not sure if we'll sign Fairbanks. He may sign with us if we can get him for a little bit lower than what he's at right now. We're going to try to sell these guys for a couple weeks just so we can push those motivation numbers up so we can try to offer them a little bit less. But let's go ahead and simulate a couple weeks and see where we stand with these 3 guys. But the second thing I do want to cover before we advance too far, we did set up our trade block for the offseason. Right now, you can see we have a ton of starting pitchers: Ryan Nelson, Ryan Feltner, and Andre Palante. We just have a ton of starters right now that just aren't getting to showcase their true talents. Like Ryan Nelson is our 6th starter, and then you can see that Feltner and Palante are both in the bullpen down here in the right-hand corner. So a lot of these guys aren't really getting to showcase necessarily what they can do. So if we can try to get some top prospects or maybe a big outfielder for a couple of them, that'd be great, because right now we need to create a spot for Chris Patton. He's already at a 70 overall. He's progressing really, really well. He's 22 years old. I mean, by next season, we could see him at like mid-70s. He might be slotting into like our 5th rated pitcher. So we need to make a spot for him. I don't foresee him coming up next season. Maybe he'll come up in September call-ups and we'll see him in the majors in 2028. But We need to get rid of some players, and we have Eggy Rosario here as well. We just don't need him at third base anymore. He is a really good bat against lefties, so he will probably be our lefty DH if we don't move him this season. But right now, just being a platoon player, if we can get another, prospect, maybe a younger guy at the third base position, that would probably be better for us in our current scenario. And after 1 week, we actually have a chance to sign all three of these guys now because we were able to kind of undersign some of our current players. So we have about $44 million left. And you can see we're progressing really nicely. Robles up to 56, Stinger 53, and then Fairbanks up to 56 as well. So we're going to give another week, and we'll come back and touch base with them here in a second. And the first major signing of the year is Tarek Skubal for $40 million per year, a 9-year deal for just over $350 million a year. Absolutely insanity. But honestly, for a player of his caliber, 97 overall, just over a 3 ERA, he's going to be an absolute dog. In Arizona, after the Diamondbacks lost Gallen to the Rangers, they pick up their next ace in Skubal. And then I just want to showcase this trade. This is like the third time they've offered me this trade. Brian Bello, who's only 27, B potential, 75 overall. They have him for 9.2 for the next 4 years. They're trying to trade him for Ryan Nelson, who's 29. I guess he is 78 overall. I just feel like a guy you have control over who's really good, you wouldn't make the trade. I'm not going to accept it just because it doesn't make sense for us, but it is so annoying that the game does this still. And then the second move of this year, Ryan Jeffers will be moving to Pittsburgh after spending all of his career actually, not basically, in the Twins system. He will be a Pirate for the next 4 seasons. 85 overall, 29 years old, a 245 average, 26 bombs, 66 RBIs. That was good for a 781 slugging, back-to-back seasons with a 781. As a catcher, that's really good, very playable, and he'll work well in their system. And week 2 has been an absolute crazy time. This is moving a lot faster than it was last season. But Jazz Chisholm will be heading to Cleveland to play for the Guardians. $27.3 million per year for the next 7 years, just under $200 million in the bank. The 90 overall, 29-year-old batted .256 last year with 25 bombs, 78 RBIs, which was good for a 790 OPS after a season where he was at 872 with the Yankees, his first full season with the Yankees. Very interesting numbers here. I'm sure he'll be okay for them. I'm interested if he'll get back to those numbers. As a lefty bat in Cleveland, that could work out well, and it'll be interesting for his next 7 seasons there. And then on the same day, man, this is going crazy fast. Garrett Crochet, who was traded to the Red Sox just not too long ago, will be moving on to the in-division rival, the Orioles. That's not good for them. They lost a big, dominant lefty who had a 4.22 ERA after a sub-4 season the year before. 10 quality starts in both the last 2 seasons, 172 putouts as well. The 27-year-old will have the next 8 years in Baltimore as he is making $47.3 million per year. Insane numbers for the young lefty. And coming up to a contract decision, he will sign with us. The first signee of the offseason for the Stars is Victor Robles. The young right fielder will be coming home to Nashville. A 6-year, $17 million deal will net him a new team. I'm very, very intrigued about Robles. He's young. He still has time to develop. B potential, 79 overall. So if he can get to that mid-80s number, I'm going to be super, super thrilled. He slots in as our 10th rated player, but coming off a season where he batted .283 with a 341 OBP and a 385 slugging for a 726 OPS. Again, not the best OPS in the world. Definitely a routine player. But again, if he get back to those 2024 numbers where he played in Toronto, I think he'll play really well. He is a righty, so that short porch in left field could help him out a ton here in Nashville. And I didn't see this until now. He was also able to amass 61 stolen bases last year. So if he can do that here as well, that adds just another tool to our tool belt with another fast outfielder for us. So I'm very, very happy to be bringing him into the Stars system. And another signee, Nico Horner, the second baseman, will be going to the Angels in LA. last year. He played for Baltimore before having his whole career with the Cubs. Not a bad season last year. 274 average, 435 OPS, 435 slugging for a 777 OPS. Must be lucky for him, but that is a decent signing for a team who typically doesn't spend in free agency. And speaking of the Cubs, Alec Bohm will be moving on from the Phillies, going to Chicago after a decent season with a 738 OPS and 12 homers, almost 50 RBIs. The third baseman is a pretty good fielder out there in the hot corner, very good contact hitter, so he'll be good for the Cubs. Freddie Peralta will be making his move to the Guardians, so the Guardians are making a push for the division. They're trying to make the playoffs, maybe even compete for a World Series with a couple of these additions. Chisholm before, and now Freddie Peralta, so they look to be on the up and up. And then Ryan Helsley will be on the move again after last season, a one-year stint with the Cubs. After coming from the Cardinals, he will be moving on to the Braves. So the Braves are rearming that bullpen with a nice starting lineup already in place. So as we're coming into week 3, we have a spot open, but I think I'm going to leave it open. We only have $27.5 million. If you add these guys up, that's a little bit more than that number. So we're not going to sign these guys this week. I think I'm going to wait one more week, increase that motivation just a little bit more. So we might be able to drop their contract per year dollars down just a little bit. And honestly, looking at these two guys, it doesn't look like anybody's really trying to sign them at this point. The Rockies are the only team interested in Singer right now, and Fairbanks doesn't have any interest. So maybe we might be able to sneak in at a lower margin anyways. And today is December 2nd, which is important because it's the last day to tender contracts for your players. Right now, we have a handful of players on the docket still. We have six players left. We're not going to sign them. Just a bunch of these guys just aren't very good. Deep potential here. A bunch of those guys are just getting to the age where they're just kind of old and they're wanting, $600,000 plus a year. And I just don't feel like they're going to be very useful for our team. So we're not going to offer them. We can probably pick up, a young player for cheap in free agency, or we've already probably filled these positions with a bunch of our draftees. So we're not going to sign them, but we do have someone to mention that we did offer a contract behind the scenes. A starting pitcher, River Ryan, will be signing the contract for $6.2 million per year for the next 4 seasons. That will get him through his, first year of free agency, and then we'll have to go back to the drawing boards. For now, Ryan will be with us for the next 4 seasons. He had a good year last year, 3.2 ERA, and his first full season, 150-plus innings with the team. So I'm very, very intrigued about what he can do for us for the next 4 years. And then Chris Bubik, a relief pitcher who filled in as a closing pitcher this year, will be headed to the Red Sox. So they lose a starter but pick up a big reliever, the lefty, 6'3", 29 years old. Had a great year last year, sub-2 ERA, 48 saves, almost a 50-save season. Very, very impressive from the 29-year-old. As we come into the 5th week of free agency, we do have a rival opportunity. The Nationals are trying to sign Pete Alonso for a 2-year deal. We're not interested. We already have our first baseman in Josh Naylor, and also he doesn't fit our requirements. So not too worried about him. It'll be interesting if they do sign him because the Nats haven't been good the last 2 seasons. Maybe it's time for them to start making moves. And coming up to our first big contract decision, they're not telling us yet. What is it going to be? Is it another signing? And we signed him. Who is it? Is it Brady Singer or Pete Fairbanks? It is going to be Brady Singer, the 19th overall free agent in this year's class. 82 overall. The young righty will sign for 6 years, $19.25 million. I am so ecstatic. And coming up to our back-to-back decision, Fairbanks won't sign for the 2-year, $7.4 million deal. We offered him a little bit under what he wanted, but a year over. Hopefully try to split the difference there with him, but he didn't sign. So we'll leave him on the board for another week or so and see if he'll sign then. Our new signee, Brady Singer, will slot in as the second best player on the team. The 30-year-old looks to be very good, coming off a sub-3 ERA, his best ERA in his career, 130 putouts with a good 17 quality starts in 31 games, so just a little bit over half. And coming from the Reds, they're not going to be the world beaters and put up a ton of runs for a player, so hopefully we can do that this year for him. 185 innings of work, so almost a 200-inning season from him as well. So I'm very, very excited about him. His pitch mix looks good as well. Sinker, slider, four-seamer, sweeper, circle change. So that sinker and circle change will work well together. And then that slider sweeper combo will also add a little bit of depth. So I'm really, really excited about this pickup. And getting in here once again, we will get a call from Stephanie Saunders, the agent for Jake Woodford. And picking up, we'll be going to the lottery as we are slotted for the 6th ranked pick. If we could jump a spot or two, that would be absolutely exceptional. The highest pick we've gotten so far in this franchise is the 7th overall. So if we can get something higher than that, that'd be great. So we're going to slot in at the 6th one. You can see there's some movement at the top. The Nationals, who fell down 5 spots from last year, will jump 3 spots this year and unseat the Rockies and Rays from that 2nd and 3rd spot to get that number 1 overall pick. This will be their 2nd overall pick in 3 seasons of this franchise. 6 isn't a bad spot. I mean, we were able to get Chris Pettin in our first draft where we drafted 7th, and he looks to be like an exceptional player. So we can get some good talent here. I'm pretty excited about this next draft. And moving into the second half of the free agency season, we will see our first big trade as Aaron Nola will be moving on from the Phillies to St. Louis for Nolan Arenado and Sonny Gray, both aging veterans. Very, very interesting trade here. Nola looks to have a great season last year, coming off an even better one in 2025. If he can get back to those numbers, I mean, the Cardinals may have gotten a steal here. I mean, maybe not. Nolan Arenado is still producing 291 average back-to-back seasons, a little bit under 800 OPS. But Sonny Gray is regressing immensely with a 4.3 ERA this season. So it may not be that big of a deal just yet, but probably towards the end of that contract, you'll see that the Phillies are probably going to lose a little bit from these 2 guys. And then the same day, the second trade, or the second massive trade of the offseason, will be sending Carlos Correa to the Cubs to add another big bat for a Dansby Swanson. So a shortstop switcheroo here, even though Swanson's a little older than Carlos Correa, which is interesting. That's very surprising, honestly. But the Twins get a young lefty in Jordan Wicks, 27 years old, only 2 years of service so far, still under arbitration for the next 3 seasons. So a very controllable left-handed arm. Not the greatest stats of last year, 4.44 ERA, 5 quality starts though, 52 putouts in 75 innings. And picking up in the Rule 5 draft, nobody will select a player ahead of us. I'm not sure we'll select anybody else. Zach Johnson actually looks like a decent player, 72 overall, 32 years old. Could be somebody we could use. Didn't play last season in the majors, so that could be a little bit of a reason why he's regressing a little bit here and there. But looking around here, there's honestly actually some pretty good choices in this draft. You can see here a couple pitchers. Alek Manoah, who has just had the biggest fall off I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, didn't have that bad of a season and a very limited showcasing in 3 starts for the Blue Jays with a sub-2 ERA. He wouldn't be a terrible pickup, but again, a lot of these guys are passed over because you have to keep them in the MLB for the season after you draft them. Ryan Weathers, another good starter, 71, could be serviceable for a team as maybe a long reliever, beat potential, 27 years old. Honestly, I would love to take him here. He was actually on our team, but we didn't sign him back. Interesting enough. We probably could have used him maybe last year. But I think the player we're going to go with for this Rule 5 draft is going to be Johnny Brito, the 29-year-old, 70 overall C potential player. Hasn't really played in the last 2 seasons, or hasn't really played in the last season. He didn't play at all last year, coming from the Padres the year prior. He has decent per 9. Would love to see the K per 9s be a little higher, but he is progressing it really well. His velocity, 99, break, 82. If he can improve that control, he'll be a great middle reliever. But again, we need some players. I mean, we only have 3 relievers above 70 overall. If we do sign a big closer, we'll move Loaizaga to a reliever role. That's still only 4 players. So picking up Brito, I feel like, is a great choice. So we'll go ahead and slot him there, and I'm going to be pretty happy with that pick. And finally, we get Pete Fairbanks to be our closing pitcher for the next 2 seasons. We got him undervalued at $7 million. He was asking 7.8, so that is one heck of a steal for us. And only a few weeks away from the 2027 season, the top relief pitcher, Brian Abreu, will sign a stay with the Astros, where he's been his whole career, coming off a good year in 2025. 2026 wasn't as kind to him, but he looks to be pretty good regardless. So they have another nice pickup for $9 million for the next 3 seasons. And as we come to the end of the offseason, I do have one thing I need to show. We were able to sign all of our coaches. It did take a little bit, but we were able to get all of them. So at our hitting coach, we'll have Sawyer Rutledge, who looks to be pretty good. Power, clutch improvement, a deficit to plate vision and plate discipline, but hopefully that won't be too big of a deal. Drew French, going to be our pitching coach. K per nine's velocity and pitching clutch improvement. Walks per nine down 1 point. And then the C graded coach we have is our first base coach, who has -2 to arm accuracy and stealing, but +1 to fielding and durability. And then Mauricio Cabrera, -1 in durability, but plus to everything else, speed included, which is really nice. And then Kevin Torres, our last signee, +3 control, +1 contact, -2 durability, and -2 Ks per nine. Not the greatest, but I think everybody here is very serviceable, and I'm pretty excited about it. But as we get into the spring training session of this video, we're going to highlight some of our players, some of our free agents to be more specific. But the first guy we will look at is going to be Brady Singer. And coming into the team, he doesn't look like he's going to be a big strikeout guy, even though in these highlights he does strike out a few guys here and there. He's going to be more of a guy that pitches to contact and low contact, slow contact through the infield and stuff like that, trying to get those ground ball outs and stuff like that. And we say this because looking at last year, his strikeout to inning ratio was less than 1. So that's kind of what we're going to look out for him going through the season. The second guy we'll showcase is Johnny Brito, our recent signee. It was a quick clip from him. He didn't have much time showcasing his talents there, but he did get a good effort in a couple innings of work. And then Pete Fairbanks, the new closer of the team, looks to be very dominant. Is going to be a big high strikeout guy in this showcase. He did strike out 3 in 1 inning alone. So he is going to be very, very good at the back half of our games, rounding out our bullpen. I like him in that fashion. He's a big, tall, 6'6" righty, and he looks to be very good slicing and dicing through different lineups all through the season. And then the next guy we showcase had a rough spring training season as well, and that's Victor Robles. We're not sure where he'll slot in on our roster. I think he'll be a leadoff guy, or maybe a 4-hole or 5-hole, maybe a 6-man, because he has very good contact and very good clutch. But with that, that'll round out the spring training year as we come into the very start of our 3rd season here with the Stars. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, guys, but this is going to be the end of it. But we are going to be heading straight into it in the next episode, where we're going to be taking on the Mets in our very first game with some new faces on the field. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope I see you all in next episode. And a huge shout out to Chris, our very first premium channel member. Thanks for all your support, man. It's really appreciated.